attend our first ever virtual principal webinar, and looking forward to hearing from our partners that have been with us for quite a while, and sharing the work that they're doing, and really talking about the relationship between a KSSN school principal and the community school coordinator. And we hope to have more opportunities like this moving forward. What we have learned during COVID is that we can do virtual trainings, we can pull together, even on a sunny day outside, when I know people would rather be doing that. We really appreciate that you're here to work together, and also to really give thanks to the partnerships. What we say in the community school world is it's all about relationships, and you're going to hear about those today. It's all about negotiating all the time. And at the end of the day, it's having the right partners at the table for the right reasons. And to thank Anna and Adrian, their partnership, Rose and Sarah and Mike and Kelsey, the work that they're doing is changing the lives of students and families in our community, and so grateful for that. And also for Amber, Kristen, and Jessica, who worked tirelessly to pull this toolkit together, and we're looking forward to hearing from our colleagues. And thanks again. Good morning.
Thank you, Carol, for that sunny introduction. It feels like it just kind of started us off on a really good foot here. And I'm going to just take over for a quick second here and give a little overview of what we're going to do today in our time together. So we're going to start off with a quick walkthrough of our new principal toolkit that is just went live this morning. Some of you may remember a binder that you received over the years that had a lot of documents in it that were sort of some tools to help with the principal understanding of the community school strategy, but also how to work best with your community school coordinator. So that has now all been digitized and put on a website. We will be continuously updating this. And Jessica's going to take us on a quick walkthrough of that new resource specifically geared towards principals. And then Kristen is going to lead us in a conversation with our three guest panelists today, Principal Anna Alleman-Putman from Granville East Elementary School, Rose Charles Maher from Sibley Elementary School, and Michael Porco from Godwin Heights High School. And there will be an opportunity for you to put questions in the question and answer. There's a little icon at the bottom of your screen. Type any questions that you may have into that area, and then we will be sure to ask those throughout our time together today. And if we don't get to them, we will answer them later and send them out as a little, I think we can send it out as a PDF to everyone. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. As Amber mentioned, my name is Jessica Torno, and I'm a team lead here with KSSN, and I'm going to go over our new principal toolkit. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. All right, so like Amber had explained, this is our principal toolkit. Most of you may in the past have gotten a binder, but we wanted to go all virtual this year. So we created this awesome website for you all. Our homepage here just gives you some really, some videos for you to understand what the community school model is and our expected outcomes with KSSN. There are some quick links here on the side that are going to take you to these browsers right up here. So our first one is really about what is a community school and why are we doing this? Why do we care so much about implementing a community school within each of your districts? And then it goes over our 4 pillars of a community school. You're going to see this a lot throughout the community or throughout the principal webinar, because these are our pillars. These are our backbone of what a community school is, and any activity, event, anything that your community school coordinator does should really be falling under these 4 pillars. So let me go into our roles. And this is really about what are the essential roles for a successful community school? What are those things those primary responsibilities that the coordinator needs to provide in order to be successful? And like I said, again, here are our 4 pillars and some activities that are falling under each pillar, so you can see the types of activities that go under active family and community engagement, so you can get an idea of what it is that they should be doing within your school to be a successful community school. And here in our blue bold here is a copy of our boundaries for our community school coordinator. Sometimes we wonder, what can a coordinator do? What can they not do? What are those those lines that I should not be utilizing my coordinator for. So this gives a really good overview of the things to not use your community coordinator for. Then we go into our responsibilities for success, really outlining and bulleting the responsibilities for the principal to be a successful community school or a successful community school. The community school coordinator, what is it that they should be doing in order to have a successful a community school? And we broke it down into these categories so you can kind of see what are their network responsibilities, what are the things that they should be doing as far as their loyalship to KSSN, but what are the things that they should be doing is in these different pillars within your school. Then we talk about the network. What is our responsibility to you as a school district who we have a partnership with to create this community school? Then if we hover over KSSM, we go into our anti-racism framework. And as you can see, it says coming soon. This is a framework that is going to be embedded into our organization that we have spent a lot of time, some intentional, deep conversations to build this framework to be moving forward with KSSN. There's a little bit of history on how we got here. And then we talk about our 4 big commitments moving forward. And you will see this framework is going to our board right now to be approved, but you will see that as this gets rolled out and as it gets approved, you'll be learning a lot more information from your community school coordinator, from your team lead about what this framework is and the lens that we are going to be viewing all of our work as a community school organization through this anti-racism work. So then a few quick about KSSN, it goes into what we are as a nonprofit. And once again, the 4 pillars. So this will give you a really good explanation about what those 4 pillars are and making sure that these are the main backbone of what is the coordinator doing within your school. We have a resources tab. And as I mentioned, this is going to be a live website. So we're going to be continuing to put resources on here that will be helpful for you as a principal to understand what exactly the community school coordinator does and what is it that they are responsible for in your school, because we know it's a tricky dynamic. They're employed through a nonprofit, but they're in your school. You know, what are those boundaries? So we're going to be putting a lot of resources on here. We have a referral sheet. We have a tracking spreadsheet that every coordinator should be using as far as tracking mental health data. Our monthly report is going to be added on here. We're really taking a deep dive into that this summer to get the best report that you can use as a principal, but our coordinators can really put in some hard data into there about what they are doing within the schools. So this is a page for any resources that we're going to be adding that are helpful to you as a principal. And our last tab is our directory. So if you have any questions about what other schools are using their community coordinator for, or other events that are happening, all of our principals and their emails are listed here. So you have a really good directory to reach out for support as a principal of a community school. So like I said, this is a really, it's a live document. It's a really good resource for principals. It's in place of our binder that we have previously used, but it's really just giving you the tools for success within your community school. So I'm going to kick it off to Kristen, who is going to be starting our Q&A.
Thank you, Jessica. Grand Rising, everyone. We will jump right into this. And Rose, you are the face that I see first. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, talk to us about how long you've been a KSSN partner, having a coordinator in your building, and also what is the best thing about utilizing the community school strategy in your building?
Wow, just one best thing. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Rosalind Charles Maher. I have been a principal at Sibley Elementary. This is this fall, I'll be entering my 5th year. I was a high school English teacher for 18 years for Grand Rapids Public. So this was something very new for me way back when I started in 2015, 2016. Amber and Carol can attest to that. So, gosh, I wouldn't even know where to begin. at Sibley, I think as a staff, as a familia is what I like to call it, we are committed to our neighborhood and our students. And that commitment starts with the model, this community school model. It was here before I got here, so the structure was already in place. But I believe that the commitment has only been strengthened because of of our coordinator. Those pillars, the 4 pillars that Jessica had talked about previously, we are building those pillars, like the attendance, for example, that one is extremely strong. If I were to pick one of, the best of all of the reasons why community school model works, it would be the commitment to making sure our students are here every day, prepared to learn. And that's big, but we meet every week. Our coordinator runs, she's got reports every week that talks about who has been here, who hasn't, and why. And that was even more important during this last year, where most of the year was spent virtually. So in a nutshell, I want to give space to the other panelists.
So Anna, would you like to go next with the same question?
Sure. I would agree with Rose. It's really hard to pick one thing because our KSN person is so interwoven into the life and the community. I have been fortunate to have a KSN worker my whole principal career, from Burton Elementary to out in Grandville. It's hard to figure one thing, but I think it would be attendance and community connection, because I feel like my KSN workers have been really great at working with marginalized community, like the parents. They don't feel connected to the school. So both in Grand Rapids Public and in Granville, my KSN workers done a really great job of reaching out to the parents that are kind of like on the wing, just on the outside and the peripheral, where you can see that they want to ask you a question or they have a need, but they don't know who to approach. So I've been so very fortunate to have really great KSN people with me. I call them my wingman. They're like with me all the time. They're the last ones to walk out of the building with me. Many times they're the first ones in the building with me. And at Burton Elementary, because the building was so big and there was so many places I had to be, I had a scheduled meeting where I would meet with Johanna, every Thursday. Every Thursday at 10 o'clock. I'm out in Granville. It's a much smaller building, and we see each other all the time. So we started out with a set time. We're going to meet every Monday, kind of go over the week, what's going on. But now, because her office is so close to mine, I can just walk over there and talk to her at any point. I would have to say that having that open relationship with your coordinator is pivotal to being successful. So back to just summarizing, it would be like the attendance for me is huge, or that's really Adrian's focus for next year. And then as well, like that, bringing in the parents and that community connection with the parents. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Mike.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Porco, Godwin Heights High School assistant principal. I've been here I just completed my 7th year already. It does go by super fast. I had to do the quick math when you asked me that question. I'm like, wait, hang on a second. How long have I been here? But we've had KSSN services in the building for 6 of the 7 years, and this is 4th with Kelsey, our current KSN school coordinator. And I think to echo the 2 comments before, like that we work hand in hand with Kelsey every day. It's not a check in once a week kind of thing. It's multiple times a day with multiple different not issues, but circumstances. And like Anna said, the ability to reach out and work with the marginalized community that they're afraid or hesitant on speaking to an assistant principal because maybe their school history or background wasn't a positive one, and we want to make sure that we're approachable and that they can trust us, being transparent, And just being a genuine, authentic person that are looking out for their best interests, regardless of age, race, color, sexuality, which are all things that that we have to be not concerned about, but to understand where our parents and students are coming from.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for those introductions. The next set of questions, we can just popcorn these if you are feeling like, yes, I really want to answer that. Just jump right in. So can you share some best practices on how you have worked with your community school coordinator to advance your mission and vision in the school?
Sure, I can start. Kelsey and I, like I said, we kind of meet every day regardless, but we do have a few things that are standard, practices. One being, being a lead on the attendance team. Her and I both work very closely with our youth advocate here in the building, Mr. Mailport, who, we identify students with tardy issues or with, coming to school late, or just maybe possibly truancy issues that we're looking at. Not just identifying, we're a data analysis team, the three of us. We don't do anything that without data analysis. We sit down weekly and look at the data. We look at progress. We look at the pitfalls, and then we try to make contact communication with our students that are struggling to find out what the root cause is. And then we devise a plan for those students and those families, and try to best break down those barriers so that they can be at school more regularly. We understand it's not a perfect process, or it's one conversation might lean to perfect attendance, but it is going to increase attendance, and the more we can do by identifying those barriers as an attendance team, that's a big one. Probably the second is a lot of social emotional work that Kelsey and I collaborate. We started a class, a social emotional learning class pre-COVID. That was a standing first hour class that students could sign up for. Not quite a freshman orientation, but it was directed towards freshmen. But being collaborative and working with some of our students that have higher needs in the social emotional support system, identifying, also kind of overlapping the class with some of the student support team that our coordinator sits on, as well as our clinician that sits on our student support team. Identifying some of the issues that we might be seeing behaviorally, or some of the things that are coming through referrals from not only parents or administrators, but staff and teachers as well, and trying to understand, again, root causes of what's going on with individual students. Really a differentiated look on some of the, basically, separating the behavior from the student, and really going at that root cause. That's always our main focus and our main goal, regardless of if it's behavior or attendance. And then, really it comes down, and then it also spills into course proficiency. We continue to look at course proficiency. How do the other two affect the students' grades? And what are some of the things that are the barriers? Is it something that's going wrong with Chromebooks, or is it connectivity, or like we're a problem, or a solution-based team, and that's kind of how we look at I hate to say it, everything. You know, like we're not just like, okay, this is a problem, tough luck. You know, we try to solve each and individual problems one at a time, or you know, multiple people at a time. But that's kind of how we kind of go about our daily business. But we, you know, we do have some standing things, but it's a daily occurrence. We talk, chat, group text, you know, constantly. Right hand woman all day long. So
I'll add on to that. So every morning when Adrian comes in, and let me back up a second, because I didn't always have KSSN. I had KSSN until I got to Granville. And my first year here, it was like, oh my gosh. And my school is like the Title I school in Granville with a lot of needs. And I think people have a misconception that, oh, like it's a suburban school, there's no needs. But even within the district, I was shocked by how much need there was at my school. And then always having had the support of KSSN, I immediately got to work, and I met with my assistant superintendent and said to him, you know, this case, and he was already fortunately working with Carol on creating KSSN out here. But I would say the big piece bringing KSSN to the building would be trust. Like, I feel like my staff had to learn how to trust our KSSN worker and what was their role, and never having had a person that was there to support them. At first, they didn't know how to use her or what her role was, until it became very clear to them that it was all about teamwork, that her and I and them were there to support students and making sure we would remove any barriers. And it took a little bit of time. We had a little bit of turnover, and now we've had our person for a goodly amount of time. So communicating with staff and with the district and with our community partners about what our KSSN workers' role was, and then her and me really working on building up that trust and letting them know that we were always going to be talking to each other, that teamwork was what it was all about. And I can give you an example. We had our school picnic, and it was very odd this year because of COVID. We always, Adrian and I always like fist bump, like dream team, because it really, between the two of us, we're able to get things done. As a principal, there are so many things on our plate, so many people, you know, pulling you in different directions. And my KSSN work has always been able to help lighten that load a little bit. She's like, you know, what do you need me to do? How can I help? She comes in every morning at 9 o'clock, and we just sit. It's just like a 5-minute check-in right after announcements. And we go over what's, you know, on the day, you know, what's come up overnight, because sometimes things come up very quickly overnight. She gets a call from a teacher. And another good thing about her is, with so many things on my plate, she really has her thumb on the pulse of things. She has her ear to the ground, even more than I'm. Like, I feel like I'm really aware, you know, of what's going on, but she hears things and sees things that I don't, because of the other things that I'm doing. So that is pivotal in being able to trust her, or your kid, whoever it should be, your KSSN worker, and then meeting with them, just catching up with them in the hallway. Hey, how's it going? But I really appreciate that every morning she comes in at 9 o'clock, and we just really quick touch bases on what's going on. And then having that trust and collaboration and the teamwork, that's been really pivotal in being successful with my KSSN workers. So.
For me, you know, with the short time that I've been here, there had to have been some shifts in how the partners looked at us, how the partners looked at our students, because the partners, a lot of them don't live in Grand Rapids. And so that trust that has been spoken about, that was something that we grew as a team. And what I am able to do with the model, the coordinator, is have these really transparent conversations about race,
Yep.
about our own West Side Grand Rapids, and how we can empower us as a school. How can we empower our families? And some of those conversations have just been profound. And for example, one thing that came out of that conversation was the idea to have our CSLT, the partners, listen to the podcast Nice White Parents.
Yep.
And that was all Sarah's idea. You know, Sarah gave me a couple of different podcasts I had heard it a couple of years ago, the Nice White Parents, but you know, it's a very new way of thinking for some of our partners, but they keep on showing up. I think we've had more partners show up to our Zoom meetings and our just our regular monthly meetings this year, and just have really solid, profound conversations about our students and what our expectations are of them. And at the end, we all want them to achieve. And we're getting in that direction where our students will read grade level material. Our students will advance to college, and we're going to make it happen. And so the commitment to us has changed. And I think that is because of Sarah, where before it was, what do your families need? Do they need backpacks? Do they need supplies? And that's still there. That's still very present. But that focus has shifted to, let's get your kids reading at grade level. Let's get those kids performing math at a level where I know they will be proficient in middle school. And I love that. So
Can I add on to that real quick, what Rose said? I think it's really pivotal to understand. There's also a book called Toxic Charity. And it's really interesting how you really, I think the key word that Rose said was empowerment of the parents. Because if we don't do that, then we're just creating a systemic circle of not really, of meeting their very basic needs, like the backpacks, like the food or what, you know, but when we empower the parents and let them know that here are some things that we can help you with to change, to help you move forward in your life, I think that's pivotal. An example I want to share right now when Rose was talking was, we had a parent that got stopped because she didn't have a license plate, because she couldn't afford to get the license plate. So she got a big ticket, and Adrian and I were watching. She had to go to court, you know, and all this, and it was really hard for us because she can't read very well, you know, there are all these things, but through us working with her and having her, like, we study the book with her to take her driver's license test, because she didn't have a driver's license either. She was able to, like, get a driver's license. She went to court by herself. Then she needed insurance, but she was so, I can't even think of the word. I don't want to say grateful, but we kept saying, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Here's some, you know, just really helping her and lifting her up. She was finally able to do this, and she was so grateful. Henceforth, she was one of our greatest allies in being able to empower other parents. And this came not through a little support from us, but really through letting her know that she could do it and empowering her. So I think, Rose, I think that's really important to know as a case of Sun School. It is the empowerment of parents and the community partners, so they believe that the kids they can go to college, they can be whatever they want to be. Sometimes we just need a little bit of help. So.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing that story. And from what I heard all of you say, it sounds like that trust, collaboration, and communication is crucial between the principal, the staff, and the coordinator to work towards those common goals and visions, and ultimately support our students and empower them as well as families. So thank you all for that. Rose, you mentioned some crucial conversations about race and just being super transparent and having those hard conversations. And we have a question here that says, if your school or district is focusing on DEI work, how do you utilize your community coordinator, or what plans do you have for them regarding this work?
Well, I mean, we've been doing this even before Sarah came on board. As a staff, we read Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. Then the next year, we worked with leading educators and what equity really means in the classroom. You know, last year was Sarah's really first year with us. Well, starting probably in March or February, right before the pandemic hit. And so whatever we tried to launch didn't really come to fruition until now. I know that we had purchased Evicted for our partners. And again, then the pandemic hit. So we really didn't, you know, they still have a copy, but whether or not it was read and what we did with it, that was we just never did anything with it. Now we're reading The Knowledge Gap and continuing to talk about race, how we grew up. Sarah's really open with how she grew up, and trying to get those conversations out into the staff, but it's, for me, it's more about making sure our kids achieve. We can, we'll talk all day about race and, how we got to where we are today. But right now, my big thing is, we got a lot of gaps to fill. If the pandemic did anything for us, and everyone has heard of it. It has shown the inequities. It has really put a magnifying glass on so much that is wrong in even just in our communities. So my big focus is to fill gaps, but we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at what we expect out of our students. And that conversation I can have that with Sarah and know that it's safe. She's open with me, and we can spread that conversation to the staff. I was kind of, I don't know if that helped at all.
Kristen, can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. If your school or district is focusing on DEI work, how do you utilize your community school coordinator, or what plans do you have for them regarding this work?
Okay. So in Granville, I'm just going to be very open with you. I am the only principal of color, and I have a Black teacher, and there's maybe 2 other Black teachers in the district, and that is pretty much it. But our superintendent is committed to hiring people of color, and also a DEI coordinator. I don't know if you all, I've attended several board meetings across the district, across Kent County, and there is a huge pushback on the hiring of DEI coordinators. I think it's just a lack of information what they do. What I've heard consistently is I don't want them teaching my child that white people are bad, and that's not what it is. So it's been really interesting. We still have a lot of work to do, I think, across Kent County, but especially here in my district. But once again, my superintendent is committed to it. My coordinator came to me and she's like, can I purchase this book? And it was, white teachers teaching Black kids. I think that was the title of it. I can't really think specifically. And so her and I ordered it together, as well as my therapist. And we're going to go through it this summer and just have a discussion, because I have the most children of color in my schools. But that's not to say, yes, yeah, that's it, yep. So just to help, to begin, until we have, and I don't even think it's a district mind shift, maybe just a national mind shift on what our roles are as educators, and especially as in schools where the majority of teachers are white and teaching children of color. I think it's a step for us until we can move forward as a district. But once again, I did want to repeat that my superintendent is very committed to having us move forward with our diversity, equity, and inclusion piece here in Granville.
So at Godwin Heights, we've had a lot of conversations, and this started well before the pandemic. At the district level, all of the administrators have gone through DEI training, and then really started for the push to, teach the teachers and then into the staff. As far as where we're at right now, we have, we're learning at the district level. The administrators are working with, I'll talk about the high school. We are having conversations and equity lessons for our staff on a monthly basis, but we also have moved into conversations with our students on a monthly basis. Actually, during the pandemic, it was actually during once a week because of the way our schedule worked out. We had a break in the day, so it was an open forum for any students to come in, and we had a little lesson / conversation about something, kind of like a top, a conversation starter. And then, and our Kelsey was a part of that, and bringing that into the forefront for our students, as well as our staff members. But then also, she, I know her focus is really, is community and students, but has also taken another role or a lead with the staff and starting a book club, and with students with teachers and staff members that wanted to do more than what we were giving. So we had a good sized group that wanted more than what the school was providing, and she was able to involve those staff members with some enrichment as well, and with conversations, as far as professional development, I guess, or just enlightenment for some of our staff. So definitely a lead role in the training with diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I think it was Anna that said that our Kelsey, but I'll echo it, but Kelsey hears more than we do. It's the boots on the ground, or the ears, that hears all of the things, or some of the conversations that she has with students and parents, and then is able to bring that back to an administrator that's listening, or multiple administrators that listen and try to understand what the pulse of the community is. That is another big piece that that's there. That's that trust, the being able to share all of those things that just continue to help make the bond between the school and the community, with all of its members of students, student staff, parents, community members, and that growth as a community school. Godwin Heights is pretty unique, even on this panel here. We're 4 square miles. I mean, we're really, really small, and we are a community that that's really thick. There's a very big pride in our school athletics and in our education, and this is a one-stop place that parents and students can come to for help or for gathering, and we want to make sure that that's something that continues, and then also to grow, as we go forward.
Thank you all. We've kind of answered this question, but I wanted to ask it just in case you all have a little bit more that you would like to expound on with this. And it's, what role does your coordinator have in engaging and empowering families?
Well, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's pivotal. They have to, because once again, there's so many things that are in a principal's plate that the coordinator really, really is important in being supportive in that piece. But I have to add to this that the principal also works hand in hand with that coordinator to build that trust with the parents. Because my case and coordinator, she might go out and she might say, look, find something, a parent in need, or a really great program or something, but I'm always part of it. Like from anything, it's from either meeting with them, the coordinator, the partner, or thank you cards. Like I always make sure, that we send thank you cards, and I'm always part of, like, we're going to deliver a card today, and it's going to be Adrian and I, because I think it's important that you present yourself as a team. In many facets. There are times when that's impossible because we are super busy, things come up, we can't, but I think that's really important. And then because she has a little more flexibility with her schedule than I do, she really is able to reach out to parents more and engage with them a little bit more than I have been able to do. So yeah, just that piece, it's pivotal. I can't even express enough how important it is that your coordinator have that trust, that being like the parents seeing them. Adrian is out on the playground with me in the morning and after school at dismissal, just so the parents see her. If anything comes up, they come and talk to her. Yeah, just really important and pivotal.
Yeah, the community relations or engagement. One huge thing is getting, like Anna said, it's the communication, but the flexibility of her schedule allows her to get into the community, sit down with parents and listen. But also she has a very good sense of what supports she needs to bring with her at the time, for the parent, whether it's myself, like, hey, Mike, can you come with me here? I think this is going to need some things that you might be able to help with, or she might go by herself, or with our youth coordinator that can go with and meet with those parents on their terms, on their turf, on their front porch, but also understanding what needs to get done to gain the trust of our parents for different things. But the work that she does, not just filling the basic needs, which again, like we've talked about, is important, but going above and beyond what those are and helping support with academics, with their future, with credit recovery, or whatever is the need, whatever the next step is. Because we're not just here to just fill those gaps. We want them to flourish and succeed and realize their true potential. So, and that authenticity that she has, and I think that we have together, is a really powerful thing for our districts and our families.
So I have a couple of examples of how our coordinator really helped with family engagement. One of them was our attendance initiatives. So before the pandemic, when we still struggled with attendance with some of our families, we would meet who's really chronically absent and why. And we would target, it would be like a tiered system. So these tier 3 and tier 2 families, the ones who had a lot of absences, we would ask them really to come in and have what we called a kitchen table conversation. And it was like, I would make something, Sarah would bring in coffee. We would have a lamp instead of the bright lights. I mean, it was something very intimate, just so that we didn't look intimidating as to why your child is absent. I wanted to take it to that approach because it's so frustrating when I see students chronically absent without any excuses. But Sarah wanted something different, and I trusted her. So I said, all right, we'll try it this way. And sure enough, just the conversations that were had because of that intimate kind of environment that was provided. And we're lucky we have a DHS person. I don't know if your community school model also has that, but we were able to then make a plan for a parent. And so moving forward, this is what we're going to do. And I think that engagement helped with I know it did. We have the data to prove it. At the end of when we did these interventions, not last year, but the year before, it showed that these things that we did, these over and above to make a parent feel welcome at Sibley, really made a difference and made a difference to the student. Another one was during the pandemic, Sarah would know who was sick. I would sometimes, but Sarah would either talk to the secretary or somehow she would receive a phone call, but she would know who was sick, who had, who was struggling with enfermedad, the virus. And she would get groceries. She would, just really go above and beyond for that family to make sure that they remained healthy. And that was something beyond anything I ever could do because there was so much going on already. That type of engagement is gold, and Sarah can do that and do it very well. So.
Thank you so much. I am looking at the time here, and I want to be conscious of it and make sure that we stay within that time frame that we promised you all of 10 to 11. If Anna, I have a very poignant question for you.
Yes.
So I'm wondering then if, along with this, and if anyone has something they want to add about partnerships after this question to Anna, we can probably quickly do that. But I want to make sure that we don't miss this question because you were a startup school in Granville, Anna. Mm-hmm. So when KSSN was new to East Elementary, and getting tongue-tied. So KSSN was new to East Elementary. What were some of the strategies you used to get buy-in from your staff for KSSN? And what do you have as suggestions of wins for the coordinator in a new KSSN school to getting that staff to buy in? And then also, if you could just touch a little bit on partnerships with that. And then if any of you have any, I know that, sorry, just want to make sure we get it all in here.
Okay, so I want to make sure. So buy-in and then strategies and then partnerships. Okay, so it was really hard. It was really hard at first because people didn't understand what the role was. They tried to use them a lot to like to cover classrooms, to do things like that. And that's not their role. Not to say that there have been emergencies where I'm like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I need your help here, or at the, like if I'm covering a classroom and there's, especially this past year, Granville was in session the whole time. We took a couple of weeks off after Thanksgiving where it seemed like the numbers really on the rise. We've been in session and there have been, yeah, it's been quite a year for principals. But so the first part really was letting them understand what the role was. And it wasn't like, I was like, oh no, they can't do that. It was like, okay, let's do it this time. But remember that that's not her role. So the second piece of that buy-in was really getting them to trust that our goal, the KSN coordinator and myself, was to eliminate any barriers that the child has, so the child could be in school and be successful. And it was kind of a paradigm shift too, I felt, in my little school, because many times, I shouldn't say many times, often it was, well, these parents. Well, yeah, these parents may have problems that we can help support or eliminate easily. Like I can tell you one little girl, she was tardy every single day, like not just a half hour, but like an hour to half a day tardy. So then, my KSN coordinator met with the parent and asked, what's going on? And it really was that they live just inside that mile, they have to live a mile away from the school to get busing. They live just inside of it. So what she did was, let's just call transportation and see, can you make an exception for this family? Can you? And they did. And then the little girl was never tardy again. So really understanding the KSSN coordinator showing up, being there, coming with solutions, and also following through. And that is pivotal. They have to follow through. So once my staff could see that, okay, our KSSN coordinator was there to really help remove barriers, to make their job easier, have the kids show up, be there, engage the parents, it was pretty much cake after that. But it took like a year and a half. It wasn't easy, And also having our KSSN coordinator be visible. She was at staff, because I've had two, he and she, they were at staff meetings. They were in the cafeteria, they were outside, and I had recess duty aides, but they were there just to connect with parents and kids and teachers. Sometimes sitting in on their PLCs, like we had one grade level that had a lot of kids with emotional issues. My key assistant coordinator would sit in on PLCs with them and kind of talk through, okay, here are some strategies, here are some thoughts, and they'd already been referred. So just following through on that. So I think that was the number one piece, was letting teachers know that this KSSN worker is here to help you. You know, it's not a got you, not watching you. Strategies, as I already shared, were just like being there, being visible, being present, participating. Like, this person is a piece of our community. They're not going anywhere. They're staying here, and here's how they can help. And the last time, it was hard with partnerships because Granville is, it's very, I don't know if dissected is the correct word, but certain districts or certain businesses like to support certain schools because their kids go there, or because it's in their neighborhood, so really reaching out to, it didn't matter. Like my current case in worker, she doesn't care. She'll go to any place, she hits the ground and she's like, hey, would you like to support a little school? We've got these things going on. And so we've been really fortunate this year, in the pandemic year, we have been able to get more partners than ever. And it really is through our KSSN coordinator being really just open and honest. And she's really like humble. And then once, and it's worked both ways. Like, there've been a couple of, I have lots of connections as well. So I reached out to them, and I'm like their front person. Then Adrienne has followed up, but she's also done a lot of work on her own. And once again, I think it's just by giving it a go. Like, they may say no, you don't know, but give it a go and let's see what happens. So I hope that answered the questions.
And any other ads for partnerships before I wrap up here?
Partners made a huge difference this year. They helped us out in gathering materials. Again, a lot of them were already here before I was here. So I was fortunate enough to inherit a strong community leadership team already. But I think it's been strengthened since both Sarah and I have been here. But
Rose, don't minimize your role in this, because a principal continues to foster those relationships by reaching out. Even small things like thank you letters. Like, I always, like, we do staff thank you letters, but I always follow up with that, calling them. Like, I do Christmas cards to my community partners. So yeah, it is teamwork.
I guess one thing that's unique, we're at the high school, but this year that we've reached out to community partners for future opportunities. Kelsey's been able to connect some of our seniors with jobs, in internships, things like that. Those are the community partners that make the world of difference at the high school level. Whether it's it's an application somewhere, or if it's connecting the right person with the right student, those things, to sit here in an hour and tell you what, how we use KSSN and how awesome Kelsey is at her job is not enough. But just so many things. It's not, we really have the focus of not just now, it's what's next. Just because you cross the finish line at graduation, it doesn't mean that you're not part of the family anymore. We want to support you, and if you come back, help out, support systems as you go on to the next part of your into their lives, but we still want to be a part of that as well, and hopefully that we've created those relationships that they're lasting, and they don't end. They don't end once they graduate. They still want to be a part of it, and they can still come ask for help. And that, then it turns around that you're truly having a community, that when they're going to come back, or whether it's their kids, or if it's whether it's they're coming back to help, or if they they become a community partner for the school to give back, and those are the things that are so important. But we look at the graduation as a finish line so often, and I'd like to take that off. It's just it's just one next step. It's just another step in the big life, but kind of thing. But You know, you're not done with us. Once you graduate, we're still around and we still want to be a part of it. So, you know, that's really a big piece too.
Thank you, Mike, for really just summarizing partnerships and community, and how this all kind of flows together. And thank you all, Rose, Anna, and Mike, for being here and for offering the greatness that you have in your school and sharing that with us. And really, everything that I heard from you in every single answer is that in order for KSSN to show up and for the community school coordinator to be able to really be utilized, trust, collaboration, and communication are crucial. And you all need to be a great partnership yourselves between the principal and that community school coordinator. So thank you for that. I am going to kick this back over to Amber to close us out.
Thank you so much. Again, I think you just all really summarized what Carol said in the beginning. It's all about relationships. And we are so, so grateful for our relationships with each of you, to partner with you in your schools and your districts. And for all of you who are in attendance, remember that we are here as a resource for you. Kristen, Jessica, and I are all team leads. We're here to support you, and whatever questions you might have about the community school strategy, we will be sending out a recording of this webinar as well as a link to that toolkit. And we'll be looking to get in touch with you early in August, most likely, to really start strengthening that relationship moving forward. But we'll be around all summer if you have any questions. Thank you again to our panelists. Thank you everyone for attending, and hope you get out and enjoy this beautiful sunny day. Thank you.